Hi, I'm Angie here at Abundant Acres Homestead, and we are well into October. So, yes, the garden is starting to die back, but it's never too soon to start planning for next year. So that's what we're going to be doing, and in particular this video, we're going to be talking about seed saving because I have some plants that did really well this year, and I want to make sure that I get the seeds so that I can grow those again next year. So that's what I want to talk about today, how to save your seeds from this year's garden for next year's garden. And I have two main ways that I like to save seeds. I call it the wet and dry way. So let's just go ahead and get into it, and I'll explain to you a little bit better what I mean about wet and dry. As some of you know, our zucchini was definitely one of the stars of our garden this year. And because of that, I definitely want to make sure that I save some of these seeds, because when I say abundant acres, one of the things that was very abundant this year was zucchini. And we got a lot of zucchini. Our zucchini did so well this year that I had so much of it that I didn't even know what I was going to do with it all. And I actually issued a challenge to come up with different recipes so that we could use all this zucchini up. But that's not what this video is about. But if you are interested in it, here's a playlist that you can go check out where there are different recipes from different channels. So yeah, go check that out. This video is about seed saving. And because I had such a abundant crop of zucchini this year, I wanted to make sure that I saved some of these zucchini seeds because I already know that they're growing well in our area, so I definitely want to keep these. Remember, I told you I had two different ways to save seeds. Well, for zucchini, I use the wet way. It's actually called fermentation, but I didn't know all those fancy words when I started gardening, so I just called it the wet way. But it's actually called fermentation. But anyways, I'm going to show you how I do that with the zucchini seeds. And you would use the wet version or fermentation for any type of seed that has, like, I don't know the proper terms or the good terms for it or whatever, but it has almost like a coating over it, and you'll get that in like your zucchini, your cucumbers, tomatoes, things like that, but it has almost like a membrane around the seed. But anyways, let's get started into saving zucchini seeds. As you can see, the zucchini patch is starting to die down, but what I've done is this one here has been my seed saver. I knew I wanted to save some of the seeds, so I let this one go way past, and you can tell it's turning colors, and this is about the perfect time. You could let it go even longer if you wanted. Sometimes I've even let it go as far as until after frost, but for this video purpose, we're going to go ahead and get it now and cut it open, and we'll show you. But I definitely like to make sure, especially with like zucchini, that they are fully ripened. Obviously, this zucchini is no longer good for eating, but that's exactly what we want because it's perfect for seed. The easiest way for me to do it would be using a hacksaw or something. Because you let the zucchini go so long, the skin gets really tough. It can get to the point where you can't even get it with a knife. I've had to use like a hacksaw to get it open before. So yeah, they can get pretty tough. But basically what I'm going to do is just split it open so that I can get to the seeds. Another way you know for sure zucchini is past time of eating and ready for seed is when you cut it open, there is that distinctive smell. I don't know how else to describe it other than, you know, that pumpkin-ish smell when you're carving out pumpkins and it almost has that like rottenish smell. Yeah, that's what zucchinis will smell like after they're past the time for eating. You definitely want to try to separate the seeds from this like mush. And the ones that I've accidentally cut, no need to keep those. You can just throw those out. See, the smaller ones, you just want to pitch those. Hey, you can kind of see the coating. See that one? See that one? See how flat it is? I don't know. Here, let me see if I can get you side by side. I don't know if I'll be able to pick it up on camera, but can you see the difference how flat this front one is compared to, let's see if I can get it. See how flat it is? This one's plump. This one, no good. See, these ones here got cut. See, these ones here got cut. They're not going to be any good, so we can just go ahead and trash those. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just barely cutting around the outside of the skin, and I'll show you why. It's cut all the way around. All you have to do, you might have to give it a little wiggle if you haven't cut it perfect, but this makes a good little handle. You can see all of those seeds right there. I have plenty of poblanos already, so I don't necessarily need these seeds. I've already saved some, but here is what I would do. Okay, let's just say this is our imaginary plate. All that I would do is start popping the seeds off. And they pretty much come off on their own. There's no real effort to it. Now, if you were doing this with a hot pepper, make sure you're wearing gloves, because the capsaicin not only gives you heat in your mouth, but it will actually cause like a chemical burn on your hands. Even the seeds, even the inside, because that's mainly where your heat is being held with hot peppers. So yeah, if you're dealing with any sort of hot pepper, make sure that you're wearing gloves. You don't want a chemical burn. Done it before. And also, even if you've been wearing gloves, make sure you wash your hands afterwards, because if even just a little bit of that got onto your skin, that oil, you go to rub your eyes or anything, rub your nose, wipe your lips, it's gonna burn. So make sure you're wearing gloves when you're dealing with hot peppers. All right, if we was inside, what I'd do next is I would just take this jar and set it right by my sink, and a few times a day, wouldn't necessarily use a knife to do this, but a few times a day, I would just give it a good stir and let it sit. Do that a couple times a day for about it might take 3 days. You'll kind of notice that the top will get, the water will get a little funky. I don't know how else to say it, but the water will get a little funky. And you can see, even just stirring it the one time, you can see the seeds starting to fall to the bottom. These are going to be your good seeds. After 2 or 3 days of stirring a couple times a day, a lot of your seeds are going to be at the bottom. Whatever is at the top, those are your bad seeds, and they're probably not going to germinate or do much for you. And again, remember I told you that the water's going to be a little funky. So what you want to do is you just want to pour that funky water off, get all the what I call bad seeds out, and then you're just going to drain it. And I would rinse these off the same way I would rinse these off. As soon as I got these on my imaginary plate, I would take my imaginary plate over to the sink and use a one of those metal mesh type strainers, pour the seeds in there, just give it a good rinse, and then I would just pop it back on a paper plate, and then I set those aside and I'll let those dry. I would do the exact same thing after I got all of the I call it the ooh juice off the top and the bad seeds, and I would just dump this into that metal mesh strainer, give it a good rinse, pop it onto a paper plate and let it dry. And that's really it. That's all it is to seed saving. Here's a tip when saving seeds. You want to make sure that you are saving seeds from your best plant. You don't want to save seeds from the wimpy plant that barely produced anything. You want to save seeds from the best plant of that variety. And I would go even a step further and not just save from the best plant, but I would try to make sure that I am saving the best fruit or vegetable, whichever one you're doing. But I would save the best fruit or vegetable that happens to be on your best plant. And because you want to grow the best, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to harvest seeds from the best fruit or vegetable on the best plant in your garden. You don't want to harvest seed from one of the wimpy ones. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section, or just leave us a comment anyways, because we love hearing from everybody. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, nice job. This is Angie from Abundant Acres. Hope you have a blessed day.